All right, hey guys, OFD checking in here, and today we have the Marine Master from Seiko. This is the newest rendition, the SLA021. This is the successor to the SBDX017. I think that's the reference number of it. And they've made some really nice upgrades to this model. You are going to pay for those upgrades from Seiko, but they've made some really nice upgrades. Seiko's been stepping up their game lately with their bezel inserts as well as their crystals. I'm actually wearing today the King Turtle on my wrist, the Save the Ocean King Turtle. And as you guys know, they've included sapphire crystal and a ceramic bezel insert on that. So really nice that Seiko's doing that. I'll get that out of the way, let you guys know that this is a ceramic bezel insert. It is loomed all the way out to the 20-minute mark, which is really cool. And also they are using a sapphire coated crystal, or excuse me, a sapphire crystal on this watch with AR coating on the underside. So probably the reason we're not getting a whole lot of reflection off of this is it's a really good Seiko crystal, and it's got the AR coating on it. So, and like everything else Seiko does, all of these new parts are in-house manufacture, something you've come to really expect from Seiko watches. Now, outside of the looks, or outside of the physical changes there, the watches look very similar to the older models. One of the different changes they've made on this new 021 model is you will notice the gild on the second hand and also the gold on the 300 meters down there just above 6 o'clock. Since I have it up here close, we'll take a look at this classic Marine Master dial. You can see these wonderfully applied indices where everything lines up nicely with the polished surround. Really, Lumibright from Seiko is being used on those indices, and this watch will glow like a torch. Love everything they've done with this watch, and I love the shininess of that new ceramic bezel insert. This clean sweep of the second hand, this is running the Seiko 8L35. It's a 26 joule movement, beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and has a 50-hour power reserve. So it's a really nice movement, kind of a step up from the 6R15 Seiko's been famous for using, and even I think a step up from the 6R35, which is the newer one they're using. This is basically a Grand Seiko movement without any of the decoration to it. So it's a really well-made movement. The case dimensions on this watch are 44 from side to side, although when I get it on the wrist, guys, these wear quite a bit smaller than that. But 44 side to side, 50.3 is what I measured lug tip to lug tip. Comes in at just over 15 millimeters of thickness, closer to 15 and a half actually. And you have a 20 millimeter lug opening. Now, since we have it on the side here, guys, I'll show you that beautiful Zaratsu finish that you get on these Seiko high-end watches. You've got the polishing along the top, the brushing on this small rib going here along with the crown, and then the brushing on the underside, which makes this watch wear very well. The Prospex logo there on the sign crown, and you can see you have pierced lugs on this watch for any kind of strap changes you want to do. This is monoblock construction on all of these Marine Master watches, if you guys are not familiar. You take a look here, there is no case back to take off. These watches are actually built through the front of the watch. So the movement goes in, the dial goes in, the crystal goes in, everything is pressed together that way, then your bezel goes on the watch. So everything on these monoblock watches, or these monoblock Marine Masters, is built that way. 120 click bezel on this watch, and it really feels good. Locks in nice and tight, and it lines up pretty darn good. But even, I can't believe this, but even on a high-end Marine Master, guys, it's just, is it barely off or is it just me? It's just maybe slightly off a little bit, but it's still no bother here. It looks really good. You can actually roll it around and get it where it needs to be and go ahead and land it right there, and it looks perfect. So beautiful bracelet. When Chris first got this watch, it was on a rubber strap. I think he sourced this bracelet, but these are the Marine Master bracelet, which is absolutely wonderful. The clasp assembly on it's great. If you guys aren't familiar, it's the double push button clasp, which is great, but you also have a ratchet lock system on here. And you guys can see by pushing out on the safety clasp here, it allows you to make micro adjustments. So if you want to do some minor micro adjustments throughout the day while you're wearing the watch, as easy as that. Open up the push buttons here so you guys can see the case back. The back of that monoblock case, you guys can see it's rock solid, no gaps, no nothing in there. You've got the Kanagawa Wave or the Seiko Tsunami, however you want to call it there, polished up in the center. It looks really nice. These are absolutely beautiful watches, guys. Now, they're not cheap. These watches are going to set you back anywhere. They're above $2,500 right now. I saw at the Nomon website, they have these ones going for about $27.95. So you're up there in that Tudor range, guys, in that Omega range. So it's one of those kind of watches that you really have to decide. Do I want to spend the money on a Seiko, or do I want to spend it on another luxury style watch? If you're a Seiko lover and if you love Seikos, this watch is worth every single penny of that money, because These watches are really sought after by Seiko collectors, and they're extremely well built, extremely well built. And the price is exactly right. The Zaratsu finishing on these watches, the all in-house construction from the movement to the sapphire crystal to the bezel inserts, not something that can be said about even all of the Swiss luxury brands out there. These are all 100% in-house Seiko watches. So really, really nice looking piece. Let's go ahead and pause it for a second, get this watch on my 7-inch wrist. So like I said, on my 7-inch wrist, these watches wear incredibly well. The 50 lug to lug fits perfectly here on my wrist. They are a little tall, over 15 millimeters of thickness, but that's because you're running a true dive watch from Seiko. There's a Pro Specs model, and it's really meant to get the job done. Interesting, being 44 millimeter, the turtle comes in at just slightly larger than that, but it looks so much larger, and in comparison, this one is shorter lug to lug. It's about the same size side to side. So it's just really interesting, the look that you get with the Marine Master. It just looks really, really nice on the wrist. Definitely does not look like you're wearing a 44 millimeter watch. Let's go ahead and pause it for just a second, dim the lights, and check out the lume. Well, just a little bit of an indicator there. You're using the best lume that Seiko has out there, and it's always worked good. I mean, for years, we've always compared everything we look out to Seiko lume, and this watch really, really shows you what it's all about. So I think the changes they've made from this model to 017 with the ceramic bezel insert, and especially that sapphire crystal, really put this up into that luxury watch range for a luxury style dive watch. Definitely going to get it done with the SLA021 from Seiko, the newest of the Marine Master line. So, all right, guys, spectacular works. Thanks to Chris at Marshall Time for getting this watch over to me to take a look at. And if you like the video, guys, give me a thumbs up down there at the bottom. And if you've not subscribed to the OFD channel yet, please do. Please do. Thanks, guys.